Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, GeoSend, Podchaser, iTunes, TuneIn, Rumble, Tiki Live, and more. I am Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated host, because I want you to be 88% happy. Yes, I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. So I have topics and guests to that end. And if you missed any of my past happy shows, yesterday we talked about dream interpretation with Julie Lohr, and you can actually tune in. If you missed it, you can rewatch it. It was a fascinating show. I was not a big believer in dream significance until I spoke with her, and she's going to come back next week to interpret dreams. So if you're interested in actually being one of the victims, volunteers to find out, it's a free session on the air, and you can be identified or not. Just go to drmarissa.life and put in their dreams, and we'll set you up in the studio. I believe it's next Tuesday. Yes, next Tuesday. So, and tomorrow, having a wonderful guest. Actually, he's a return guest along with his beautiful wife. It is Ron and Arlene Klein. And everyone knows Ron, even though you don't know, you know him. He is the inventor of the magnetic strip on your credit card. So I know that almost every American has a credit card somewhere. And so it's a fascinating story. And I wanted to bring his wife on because, behind every successful, strong man is an equally or more successful and strong woman. So they're coming in. They are in their 80s. So it's octogenarian wisdom series as well. So tune in tomorrow. But today we are doing another I get a lot of love for this particular series. It's called Commercials, Compliments, and Questions. So we answer a question of the day, and my co-host / engineer multitasking, Sam Works, who also has a show on Sunday on the station, is my if I said playmate, that might go R-rated. So I'm going to say studio mate. How's that? So I have convinced him to play with me today on this topic, because the question of the day is, how do I take criticism and or compliments better? So how do I take criticism or compliments better? And if you're a person that doesn't take compliments well or doesn't take criticism well, then make sure you tune in on the love stream from my loving room, both on Facebook Live and or YouTube Live. Free subscribe there, and you can interact with us as we go through this question of the day, and I will do my best to answer. Of course, from the Happy 88 tools from my best-selling book, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are, so that you can be claiming your birthright to happiness 88% of the time. But before we launch into that topic, you know the drill. You're going to have breakfast with me with my gratitude sandwich so that we can start our day not thinking about what's wrong with the world or wrong with people, with what is right with the world and what's right with you. So, ready, Sam, to have a bite of the gratitude sandwich? I'm going to let you start since you're a veteran at this now. What are one specific thing that you are grateful for?
One thing that I'm grateful for is the morning fresh air.
Fabulous. I'm grateful for the on-site gym that I have, that I can roll out of bed and not think and just, gospel according to Nike, just do it and go downstairs. And I'm now, I think I told you, minus 27 pounds. This is when it gets a little tougher because, you know, it takes almost like twice as much work to lose the weight, but I'm grateful that I've lost that. Your turn.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for my legs. I'm still moving, I'm still walking.
Fabulous. I'm grateful for my sense of hearing. I may not listen as well as I could or should, but I'm glad that I can listen to music. I love music. It's true that music will soothe your soul.
You know, one thing I'm grateful for is I'm just getting it back, and I lost my sister years ago.
Really?
Slowly but surely, yes.
So wait, did you lose it with COVID?
Before COVID.
Before COVID. What was the reason the doctor gave for you losing it?
They don't know, but I think it's smoking, because the less I smoke, the more I can smoke.
Ah, and there's your PSA for stopping bad habits like that, right? Well, I'm really glad, because I don't know what I would do without my sense of smell, for sure. Okay, I think we're on the last gratitude. Wait, I have two more. I'm grateful for my ability to read and learn, continue to learn, continue to read, continue to expand my mind.
I'm grateful to be on the Marissa show to do gratitude portion.
Aww, that's so.
No one really practices being grateful. Good exercise.
Yay! I'll hold you to that next time you don't feel like doing it. I'm gonna clip this part out and play it on your ringtone. And finally, 8th gratitude. I am grateful for commerce and people's ability to use their unique talents, gifts, and abilities to create products and services that someone around the world is going to benefit from. And I love the fact, you know, when I see buildings go up, when I see new products go in, when I see people take their pain from something that they were hurt in and turn it around into a product or a service that can help people who are in that situation. And I think that is really the purpose of life, to really take what happens to us and make it into something that we can help others with and generate some money energy with that. All right, that's our 8 gratitudes. See who beats who to the applause. That's because you went first. So that's the 8 gratitudes. Now, the other flip side is tonight, before you go to bed, I want you to have 8 appreciations on who you are. And we're going to link this into the topic or the answer for the day. Why is it so difficult to take compliments? And this is exactly the reason why I do the bottom of the bun, which is appreciation or gratitude for things about yourself. And one of the reasons that we have a difficult time taking compliments is because we our parents or our school system or our society, what we learn, a lot of us, and you may be the exception to the rule, but I don't know many homes in the baby boomer generation, in the I call it the shock absorber generation, the generation between the baby boomers and the millennials and the Gen X and all of that, and then the younger generation. Even in the younger generation, to naturally celebrate the goodness that you are. I don't know, you, Sam, did you grow up being told, what's good about you, or, when you toot your own horn, or you say, I'm really good at this? What was the reaction?
As a kid growing up, I had two older brothers, and everything was a competition, but it was never downplayed. We never try to beat each other up. It was always like, hey, we're the brothers of destruction. We're the best. And my parents kind of just rooted for us. So.
Okay, so you are the exception. And I say that because of the continued statistic that 7 out of 10 of us have had some kind of childhood trauma, and that trauma centers around your BS or your belief system about yourself. So almost always that trauma is around your unworthiness. And unworthiness stems from not thinking you're good enough, or not thinking you're as good as other people, or not thinking that you are worthy of good things that happen. So that's the majority. So you're obviously one of the 3 out of 10 who had that kind of support. And I'm not taking that away from you. And I think it's fabulous. And then at the same time, I know that I'm speaking for the majority of us who didn't have that. And in fact, if I don't think I had anybody really rooting me on, partially because of my culture as well. And I've said this a million times, and if you're new to the show, then this won't be a repeat. But it's worth repeating, because there's a lot of cultures out there that say, don't say anything good about yourself, right? Don't toot your own horn. Don't, the nail that stands up is hammered down. That's the Chinese saying, the Japanese saying. I've heard there's a saying similar to that in Vietnamese as well. So there's cultures who really shame you if you think you're good, or if you say you're good. Now, did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So now you do. Now, there's other cultures, and I will never forget this as long as I live. I was on a trip to Africa, and part of the trip was Morocco. So that's the North Africa. And I was walking down the street during the day, and there was this beautiful African woman. I mean, just beautiful. She was with 2 friends, and they were just walking, and their dress was beautiful. She had a headdress on. She was just gorgeous. So when we passed, I stopped and I just said, identifying as a tourist to say something stupid, but I just couldn't help myself. And I looked at her and I said, "You are beautiful." Now, when someone says that to me here in America, or, certainly when I was younger, I would deflect and say, "Oh, you're beautiful too," or "Thank you, I didn't wash my hair today," and "Oh, I just threw something on," and downgraded and deflected and did not take that compliment in. Her response, you ready for this, Sam? I should get a drum roll sound on the show. But her response was, "Thank you, I am." I'll let that sink in. That's like me telling you, Sam, you're hot. And your response would be, thank you, I am. How many people here would respond like that?
Mostly no, right?
Well, why not?
It makes you sound conceited.
Well, but if it's accepting a compliment, what is so bad about that?
She could have just left it as thank you, and that's it.
No.
I am. That's kind of like rubbing it in your face.
No, see, for us that is, and I'm so glad that you're reacting the way you are, because this is my point exactly, is what part of our culture shames us or calls you conceited when you own something that is yours and true, and you can approve. Now, I'm not, you know, like, why is it that we would take that as rubbing it in your face? If you're beautiful, you can, the person complimenting can be too. What makes it this fixed pie, lack and limitation, that if I say I'm beautiful, I'm taking your beauty from you? And so this is exactly why we do the bottom of the bun in the appreciation is, wouldn't it be great if I could own what it is that I'm good at, or what you know, that I'm really accepted. Now, I will give it to you, Sam. It is an extreme. Her response is an extreme, right? On the other side. But I don't think that it's a bad thing for us to move from, oh, no, or, you know, thank you, but really, you know, I don't think I'm that beautiful, or and brush it away. Do you see what I'm trying to get at? There's a balance here and a movement towards acknowledging what we are good at and not feel like we are full of ourselves, or not feel like that we're rubbing anybody's noses in it. And not make it, not just joke it off either. I really, this is exactly why I'm so hip on appreciation of ourselves. Because what happens is, when you don't own your goodness or your looks or your intellect or your talent or your gift or ability, is that voice that is taking the compliment away and just criticizing yourself over and over and over. Because if you cannot compliment, then the critic will take over. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if I can thank someone, and if I say I'm working on owning my beauty, that's a step, right? Instead of poofing it off. I ran into someone and I told them the topic for today's show last night at the yacht club when after, I don't know if you know, I race sailboats. And the best part of that is taking kids out and teaching them how to race. And we take, you know, NAACP kids out, and we take Jordan High School kids out every series. And so last night we took out the dramatic results kids, and they did a great job. By the way, we pulled from a 6th place to a 2nd place finish. So that was super cool. But anyways, I was there and I told someone that I hadn't seen in a while since BC 19, the time before COVID, and told her what the topic was. And she's like, oh, I cannot take compliments at all. I'm very uncomfortable. I'm very, you know, I hate that. I hate it when people compliment me. So that is a direct result of when the spotlight is on you and you don't like yourself. If you don't think you're beautiful, if you don't approve of yourself, then that is, you know, that category again, that you don't think. Why don't you think you're worthy of a compliment? I'm not talking to you. I'm rhetorical question, or I'm asking those people as well as the woman that I was speaking to last night. You know, what makes you think that you're not worthy of a compliment? And then again, we come back to, if you have memories of being shut down, put down, shamed for tooting your own horn or saying that you're good at something, then yeah, guess what? You're going to have a problem taking compliments. So how do you work with someone who has problems taking a compliment? Do you know anybody who's like in that category?
No, I don't.
You can tell we're definitely from different generations, even though I'm ageless. But so I have a. Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and said, "I love you"?
I mean, I've looked in the mirror and said stuff along those lines, but I never said I love you looking at myself.
Okay.
But I haven't told myself like to the man. You know what I mean? Like I'm hyping myself up.
Yep. Okay. So this brings up a gender difference. Now, I'm going to sound like I'm stereotyping, but I really am not, because this is a very well studied, documented gender difference. And have you seen that cartoon where a man looks at himself at the gym and he's flexing and he sees this bodybuilder and he's like an average looking person, but the reflection in the mirror is like this buff, men's fitness cover model picture? Have you seen that cartoon? And the woman who's average looks in the mirror and sees this overweight, not in shape reflection of herself. Have you seen that cartoon? Okay, good. Yes, same thing. And this is, and I'm not male bashing, I promise, because this is, it's a tool in my book called Have a Guy Day. Have a Guy Day. Because most women, left to their own devices, if you see a woman walking into the gym and going towards the mirror, most likely, does she stop and smile and look at her body and smile? Or does she look down and sort of walk past the mirror? Yeah. And most women think they are heavier than they are, less attractive than they are, and not as smart as they are. And this is a well-documented, well-researched thing. Now, it may have changed. I know my daughters have less of this trait, but I do know that in the baby boomer generation and the shock absorber generation, as I call the ones between the two, it certainly is a trait. So you think you are less than you are looks-wise and in intelligence. Now, men, on the other hand, not all men, but many men, when they go to the gym and they look in the mirror, what do? Exactly. and most men think they are better looking, more buff, and have more hair than they actually do. Now, again, am I bashing? No. I would like women to adopt that particular brand of whatever it is. Seeing yourself as better. I'd rather see yourself as better than worse than you are. And again, this is something that has been conditioned more so for women. We're told, weaker sex. That's one of the reasons why in the feminist movement, it was insulting to have someone open your door, Now, I know a lot of men say, we're just trying to be nice. Oh my God, what is the big forking deal? I know you can open your own door, but I just want to be a gentleman. That's what I was taught as a child. That's what my mom told me to do. And there's this big clash. We talked about conflict management. There's a point of conflict. And it's the extreme. The pendulum had to go to the extreme in order to balance in the middle. So the extreme is we're trying to move away from that societal BS belief system that somehow we are, dainty and can't do things for ourselves and not capable, and we're fighting ourselves. A lot of that is the BS that we've adopted, which isn't true. So that's on us. So I think there's a balance from moving from we're incapable, we're not as attractive, we're heavier than we are, not going to the other end where it's like I'm a man and I'm as strong as you and I can do everything for myself and I'm no different than you. I don't think that's healthy. But the middle ground is I love myself as a woman and all of the curves and the things that I am, part of being a woman. At the same time, I can do things that were not in the mainstream for women to do. That's a balance. And so when a guy opens my door, I see the intention of what he's doing and don't get my undies all in a bundle and thank them for, the appreciation that they're showing. And at the same time, sometimes I can say, thank you. And I can get that myself. So there's a, when to hold and when to fold. But that journey for women to have a guy date is such an important one. And that's why I would say most women have more trouble with taking compliments than men do. Not all, but it certainly is a reflection of what we're trained with. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it is definitely have a guy day for women to take compliments. And when I don't know, what is the reaction when you compliment women? Mm-hmm.
Oh, they love it.
Yeah. and what do you usually compliment them with? Do you have like a?
Are you trying to learn my secret?
I am.
Okay, so honestly, it depends. And there's just a natural viewpoint, and I'm just being really honest. Overall, doesn't have to be beautiful. But if I'm quote unquote gonna spit a game or something, I find something that they are wearing.
Wait. What a game? What a game?
I said spit some game.
Oh, this is a new one. Spit some game.
Yeah, like spitting game, like.
I'm sure my daughters will be like, Mom, you don't know that term? Okay, I learned something new. I'm going to text that to them today and embarrass the crap out of them. So when you're spitting some game, that doesn't even sound palpable, but go ahead.
I would look for something that they are either wearing or using to try to stand out. Typically, I'm actually pretty good at it, whether it's new lipstick or their nails or their hair. Something that they really wanted to show off, and they appreciate that because oh my gosh, yes, I did because this night I got my hair done, or yes, because of lipstick, or yes, I got my nails done today. They get excited about that.
Okay. Would you say that most take it well and accept the compliment, or did you notice, has it ever not been taken well?
You know what? That's another thing. They always get super excited.
Okay. So are most of them of your age category?
No.
Oh.
Here's the thing with me. When it comes to girls or women, no matter what age, from 21 all the way to even old ladies,
Oh, whoa.
What?
We got to come up with a better word than old ladies. Not that I'm taking it personally, but even ladies that are, and by the way, ladies, if you want to, and it's not politically correct, so, but if you want to include more women in your categories, ladies usually is used diminutively, like, pulling on gloves. So many women prefer the term women over ladies. I know you don't mean it disrespectfully, but just as a gender, I teach valuing diversity. And this is one of the things that comes up is guys say, I don't understand what the big deal is. I open the door and ladies is a nice thing and ma'am is a nice thing. And why do women get so upset when I call them a lady or open the door? And so it is not meant, your intention when you just said ladies or old women, you were not intentionally trying to be disrespectful, but the impact on many women would be feeling disrespected. So I'm glad I got to bring this little diversity coaching point up. Do you? Yes, yay. So young women and older women. If you say older women versus old women, do you see the difference?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, start again.
When it comes down to it, whether they're my type or they're not, I talk to all different types of women because it's honestly practice until it's not,
Did your mother raise you to be respectful of women? Is my guess.
Definitely, and my dad too.
Yeah. So you really you struck gold when it came to raising you and your treatment and relationship with women, and to defend many men in the what am I with the last generation, the baby boomer generation were raised by misogynistic men because that's what they were taught and that's how they were raised. And no thanks to the backlash that's been happening, which is great. What's his name? Bill Cosby is a great example. Even Trump, all those who were raised to think like their fathers, and women were, not allowed to vote and not allowed to think, and they had ads. I don't know if you know this. They had ads, always the woman was bringing the husband a martini. That was her job, right? That was her job at home. So we've come a long way, baby. But we still have the leftover diminutive treatment of women. It wasn't that long ago when men would pat a woman's butt at work when they went by. So, I'm just saying this as it's no wonder we have confusion when it comes to taking compliments or self-image or how we're treated or, how worthy or equal we are. But I'm so glad that you, one, are open to the feedback, and two, that you were raised the way you were. And I do definitely think that the new generation is much better. They're almost intolerant of anything that smacks of disrespect for women. And I take that from my daughters. They're constantly very intolerant of men who have that old mindset. So I hear it all the time. But anyways, all right. So getting back to, okay, now criticism. Why is it so difficult to take criticism. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to switch gears and now talk about why is criticism so hard to take. And you're listening to Dr. Marissa on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, with my co-host today, Sam Works. We'll be right back here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Do people drive you crazy? Hi, it's Dr. Marissa. You know me as the Asian Oprah, and I'm here with your mental health minute to help you feel happy 88% of the time. Now, when people drive you crazy, and they will because they are in charge of themselves, you're not the boss of them, then I use this little Happy 88 tool called Everybody Does the very best that they can. And if they could do better, they would, but they can't. And now I have to be the boss of my own emotions and not let it take me down. A lot of us grow up thinking that other people are responsible for our own thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And that is not true. We are the boss of our own reactions. And if someone's doing the best that they can, I remember that I also do the best that I can, and I'm not perfect. And sometimes, and although I am 88% fabulous, 12% of the time I'm not. When I acknowledge that, then I'm much less easily irritated or frustrated with that other person. Hope that helps you. This is Dr. Marissa with your Mental Health Minute, hoping that you have the best day ever.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where if you free subscribe, you will get the daily show as it drops first thing in the morning. And also my playlists. And I have a series called Radio for Our Deaf Community, where I've invited different American Sign Language staff to come in and interpret the shows, like Layla Ali's show. I have my Red Carpet playlist with interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, and recently The Temptations and Jimmy Kimmel. Also my new short film, PPP, Post-Pandemic Possibilities. And of course, if you, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. The train left the station. I wanted to bring up that the Asian Oprah giveaway, which I forgot to do at the beginning today, is a free download of the book that I'm taking the tools out of when I answer your questions of the day. And this is a #1 best-selling book, thanks to you. It's available at Target and Walmart and Amazon, but you can get a signed copy on my website, drmarissa.life, and today's Asian Oprah giveaway is a free download. Can't really sign that, but you'll get a free download that you can listen to, and there's exercises in the book that I promise. If you do them, you will never hate yourself the same way again. And that is why I am talking about criticism. Why is it so hard to take criticism, Sam? Do you like getting criticized?
You know what? It depends on the circumstance.
Okay.
Sometimes, well, in the environment as well. Like, I'm getting criticized at the gym, and it's more motivating me to go a little
Why don't you like it?
Because like it's putting me down, and depending on how I react to the criticism, it's disrespecting me.
Okay. What comes to your mind when I say constructive criticism? Okay, so it's still not welcome, so to speak. Welcome? Okay, so you're normal. The good news is you're normal. Most people don't like criticism. And most people will spend more time thinking about criticism than they do compliments. So if you have 99 compliments and one criticism, what do you tend to listen to or remember more? Exactly. And that you're not alone on that one either. I speak all over. I think I've had probably close to 800,000 people that I've spoken to in the last 30 years, but I'm ageless, both on stage and with groups. And 100% will say, I listen to the criticism instead of the compliments. I'm sorry, what?
What if we flip the script?
Okay.
We got 99 criticisms and one compliment. You think that one compliment would really stand out and you remember it depending on how good that compliment is?
Do you think?
I think so.
You think so? Okay. You are smart. And you don't respond quickly enough. You don't think fast enough. You don't show up on time. You don't care about everyone. You don't do what you're going to say. You don't keep your word. You don't come across as you want to. I think that's about 9 or close to. Do you remember what the compliment was? Okay. Did the other one zing you at all?
They started to confuse me after there was a lot of handling and a lot of thought. I was trying to hang on to the first one. I was trying to beat the game here.
Yeah. And I think it's a great experiment to see, but I know that for myself, even when someone compliments me, my reaction is okay, but just like in a performance appraisal, you do this well, you do this well, you do this well, and you're waiting for the but. You're waiting for those things that you are messing up at. So there's a tendency to downplay compliments and magnify insults or criticism. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So now that I've proved you wrong. No, I'm kidding. now that I put spin on your game, sorry, wrong use of that. What there's this saying, and I know we're running out of time again, but there's a saying that I don't want to forget to say. And here's a huge Happy 88 tool. It's an African proverb that says, when there is no enemy within, then no one outside can hurt you. When there's no enemy within, then no one outside can hurt you. So people used to, when I first started the show, people would say, you talk too much. You know, let your guest talk. You talk too much. And it would completely, like, I'd go to, oh my God, I'd have two reactions. I'd get mad and defensive. And, if you don't have a show, you don't have a right to, you have a show and you try it and then tell me, what you're saying. Or how dare you criticize me? I never criticized you. Or, that's what hosts do. They're supposed to talk, right? So I'd get very defensive and I would not take the criticism well, and I would lash out, or if I look like you, I'd be miserable too. So go and strike back. Okay. So the reason why that bothered me so much is because inside I knew it was true. If I could get to a place where it was like, okay, that I'm nervous. This is a new thing. I've never done this before. I probably, people do talk more when they're nervous. They want to make sure, especially on radio, you don't want a pregnant pause. You don't want any kind of pause. And so what do? You tend to overtalk, or you tend to fill in gaps that you don't need to. You tend to be nervous when a guest doesn't answer right away. And so you jump in there and you blah, blah, blah. So when I could own the piece of it that was true, then I could take that as constructive criticism, no matter how they were delivering it. The moment that you can take something that has been said to you more than once, and this is another Happy 88 tool. People ask me all the time, when do you listen to someone's criticism? I say that if only one person tells you one thing and no one else has ever said that, and that person really doesn't matter to you, then don't take it. Don't look at it. You don't need to do anything with it. It's someone having a bad moment and they're lashing out on you. However, if three separate people on three separate occasions say the same thing, then you might want to look at it. Does that make sense? So when I can look at it and I can own the part of it that is true, but not take it as I'm a bad person, I'm a horrible host, I'm never going to make it on radio, I'm never going to be able to continue with this, I'm never going to be able to, and then go down that rabbit hole of beating myself up, then that's not healthy either. But if I can take the little nugget and not beat myself up and cut myself some slack and say, you know what? I'm going to try to do better. And I'm 88% of the time, I'm going to be able to do that. People say all the time, oh my God, Dr. Marissa, how can you, just say all the stuff that you do and remember all the stuff that you say and ramble through your opening so, most of the time without forgetting anything, without a script. And it's like, I've been doing this for 9 years. So I'm going to own the part of the compliment, and I'm going to accept it, and the criticism of, and I'm going to be truthful and say, it wasn't always like that. I've learned a lot. If I can soothe myself with the criticism and not knee-jerk react, then who's the better for it but myself? So taking criticism is a skill and an art form, just like taking compliments is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's look at a criticism that you get if you want to play along and soothe yourself out of it. What's a criticism that you get often from three people, 3 different times? Well, I have one, but I don't want to embarrass you. Well, timeliness is something that you've been criticized for. Is that accurate? Yes. And I was not paid to do this, but I think it's a really good example of something that if I'm told, and a lot of people are told, you know, you're late, you're always late, you need to be on time. If you want this job, you better be on time. And so it becomes that internal critic, you're beating yourself up, and at the same time there's a part of you that's a brat, like, you're not the boss of me, and I can be late. I can always get another job, or whatever it is, that reaction. So if you can own the part of, yeah, I have a lot of skills and abilities and talents, and I have to work harder at showing up on time. I accept that. Does that feel better?
Yes. Accepting it always feels better.
Yes. And then what are some things that I can do to make sure that that is not, I can improve on that? I'm never going to be 100% because it's just part of my makeup, and I can't be good at everything. Now this is like advanced stuff. Our ability to accept that we're not perfect, and that's why I always say I'm 88% perfect. 12% of the time I talk too much. I step in it. I put my foot where it doesn't belong. I give people advice that didn't ask for it and are not paying me for it. And then I get my, feelings all hurt if they don't take the advice. I recognize that. I own that. And most of the time I don't beat myself up about it, but I help myself with little rules that I put in place, like I'm not going to give you advice unless I'm getting paid for it. And for you, I'm sure there are things that you've done to help you be better on time, because you're definitely way more on time than you were before. So what are the things that you soothe yourself with in order to help you with that?
Honestly, music really helps, and just being by myself.
There you go. So it is possible to take criticism if you understand that it is just the 12% part of you that you'll never get it wrong, and you're never going to get it done. For the rest of your life, you'll be working on some things, but you don't have to focus on those. You can focus on the things that you are doing right. And then guess what? Those things that are tripping you up become less tripping you up. That's the law of attraction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I am so grateful that I had you to play on this topic. I hope that you have all listening learned a little bit more about how to take criticism better and take compliments better, because honestly, life is way too short to be really down on yourself and not take the compliment, and down on yourself from overtaking the criticism. This is Dr. Marissa. The Asian Oprah giveaway for the download of 8 Ways to Happiness is to the first person who puts Sam in the subject line of my Dr. Marissa .life website. Please do go and check that out. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. And go have the best day ever. See you tomorrow with Ronna and Arlene Klein.